Speaker Phelan, thanks for joining us today. This has been a months-long battle. You had fought for appraisal caps. The Lieutenant Governor fought for homestead exemptions. You did get a limited version of your appraisal caps. So what ended up happening in those negotiations, and why did it take so long for Republicans to get a deal?
Sure. So again, coming in this session, I knew the most contentious issue would be how we would refund $34+ billion of taxpayer money to the taxpayers. Record surplus, record expectations. And so I knew this would be something that would take us to the very end of session, and of course it took two specials to get there, but we have a better package now, we really do. And we negotiated for the last 10 days or so, the Lieutenant Governor and I personally, and of course Senator Betancourt and Representative Metcalf. But you know, the Senate sent us a package with the $70,000 homestead. We raised it to $100 because we appreciate the homestead exemption and we supported it. We also want to do something on appraisal reform because I hear about that from voters all day long when I go back home. And we did that. We were able to get some appraisal reforms in this package I think are meaningful. And we have a pilot program now that in 2027 we'll come back and revisit. I think it will be very popular. But it gives those individuals, small businesses, that's what this was all about, was about small businesses. It gives them the predictability of what their appraisal may look like year after year, so they're not fighting 150% or 200% increases. They know it is limited to 20%. So it's just for $5 million and less. Of course, the compression is record compression. We're going to buy down your local ISD M&O rates, which is a big deal. So a huge portion of your tax bill. Of course, the homestead exemption, and then we also have some really good reforms for franchise tax reform, again, focusing on small businesses. Small businesses are the lifeblood of the Texas economy. They employ most Texans, and we want to make certain that they have predictability and accountability when it comes to the tax structure here in the state of Texas.
What would you say was that exact turning point in your discussions with the Lieutenant Governor and other key stakeholders?
I think it just became the realization that we were in an impasse and we both needed to give something and take something. And the governor, lieutenant governor, and I we just had some very frank discussions about, let's figure out how to land this plane. And because taxpayers are anxious, they want they want a rebate, they want their money back. And we were able to accomplish that, the three of us, and of course, key stakeholders as well. And so I'm very proud of where we landed on this. We had to get it on the November ballot, so there was a time crunch as well when it comes to getting things to the Secretary of State.
And of course, Texas right now is in a strong economic position. Do you see these cuts as sustainable in the future, especially the compression aspect?
I do, because the Texas economy is growing leaps and bounds. 1,200 people move here every day, depending on what statistics you look at. We're the fastest growth state in the country, not just with people voting with their or moving here with their shoes, voting for living in a state like Texas, but also businesses relocating here, not just headquarters, but large manufacturing facilities. Texas Instruments, Samsung. It's almost a daily occurrence. We have new investments here in the state of Texas. So I feel like everything's sustainable at this point.
During that final vote, Democrats tried to get direct rent relief for renters, of course. Without any direct guarantee for landlords, how do you expect for them to lower their rent and kind of ease that burden on renters in a time when there's a major affordable housing shortage in a lot of Texas's metro cities?
Well, first thing that's going to happen is you're going to see more investments in the market, because the key driver of developments for multifamily housing is taxes. It's just one of those costs of doing business. And of course, a lot of that is passed on to the renter itself. So it's a market-driven solution, in my personal opinion. It's a very competitive market. Renters can choose. Sometimes they have 6-month leases, year leases. Sometimes they're month to month. If someone across the street offers a $100 rebate or $200 less in rent, then that other landlord better do the same, or they're going to lose that occupancy. And occupancy rates are very important in the multifamily housing market.
Do you trust that'll happen?
I do. I've seen it happen multiple. Anytime you drop the cost of doing business, there's an influx of activity in that market.
I do want to pivot now to another topic and give you a chance to respond to criticism that we've heard from on the House's impeachment of Attorney General Ken Paxton. That criticism has come from the state GOP, of course, the defense lawyers calling the process rushed and unfair and not based on proper evidence. What is your response to that criticism that you're getting from within your party?
We are having this discussion because the Attorney General and his office came to the House and Senate and asked for $3.3 million. And we started an investigation to see if that was a worthy use of taxpayer dollars. And that started months and months and months ago. It was not public until May for a very good reason. Witnesses need to have the opportunity to speak freely about what they saw and give the opportunity for other individuals to cooperate with the investigators and with the committee. And we ended up where we were in May. And in the articles of impeachment, I think, were well thought out, well written, passed with huge support in the House, huge bipartisan support in the House. A vast majority of the Republican caucus voted for this. Every member of the delegation that represents Mr. Paxton's own home county all voted unanimously in favor of it. And now it's off to the Senate, where I firmly believe that Lieutenant Governor Patrick and his senators will give a very fair trial to Mr. Paxton and others. The work is not done. There's still many things going on between now and August, I believe, is when some key deadlines kick in that the Senate have laid out. The rules seem very fair to me for everyone involved in this process. And so I stand behind what happened in the House, and I'm proud of the work product that the Board of Managers put forth. And we have a good team, and it was the right thing to do.
With that criticism, there definitely is a campaign, if you will, to put pressure on the senators who have, of course, vowed to be impartial. We're seeing a PAC that is calling on senators to stand with the Attorney General, suspended Attorney General. Do you think that that might have any effect on the outcome?
I certainly hope not. I hope external pressures will not play a part in what I think is a very important piece of democracy, and that is the checks and balances on someone who did something wrong. And I hope that the senators don't in any way feel any pressure from outside sources. I know many of them personally. I've not talked to them obviously about this at all because they are jurors now, and that's not a proper thing to do. But and I hope, just like we're going to talk to them about this, I hope they don't talk to others as well. And I know they're going to do the right thing in the Senate.
Looking ahead to the next special session after that trial, of course, we're expecting Governor Abbott to call you back for vouchers as well as other educational issues. In the past, for the House, we saw that effort to tie the school voucher type of program with teacher pay raises and overall education funding, and that did not have broad enough support. Do you think we're going to see a repeat this time, given how a lot of your rural members feel on the voucher program?
Where I created a new select committee to expand the conversation, so to speak, and I put on some rural Republican members who had concerns about some of the ideas that were circulated during the regular session. And we've had some really productive hearings this week, phenomenal conversations about education savings accounts and accountability and testing, and because it really is, it's a tremendously complex issue that I think requires a laser focus. And I think that's what's going to happen with this committee that I've created. And I think that's what will happen, assuming the governor has a special session coming forward. That's his decision, not mine. But I think we will have a very robust discussion, and maybe some of these ideas have broad support. We shall see.
Do you think that you can increase the basic allotment towards schools, give teacher pay raises, and at the same time also redirect funding for a educational savings account or a school voucher type of program? Can those things be tied together?
I think if you saw anything from the last week, anything can happen in the Texas House.
And then lastly, we did see the Senate, they had tried to tack on some bonuses for teachers. I know there's a lot of pressure from educators about their financial situations, and that got taken out of the final package for property tax relief. Can you talk us through why that got removed?
Sure. One, it wasn't germane to the call. The governor specifically said this is property tax relief. He didn't mention anything about teacher pay increase or educational funding. Two, in my discussions with senators and the lieutenant governor and others in the House especially, we want to look at something maybe more sustainable. If we want to attract new teachers to the profession and retain current teachers, there needs to be more predictability, and it needs to be a long-term solution. What was currently floating out, this special, was a one-time, basically 13th check. It was a bonus. So it wasn't something that teachers could rely on year in, year out. So I think that would be the approach the House takes, and I'm willing to work with the Senate to find some common ground on that.
Is the expectation that they will get raises in the next special session?
The Texas House is absolutely in favor of giving teachers a pay increase.
All right. Speaker Phelan, thanks so much for sitting down.
Thank you for having me.